All right, we are live. What is going on, y'all? It is the Caveman. We're going live. We're going to talk about this ugly ass Bills loss that we just witnessed. Still dumbfounded. Unfortunately, we go into week number 9, assuming that we can move on to 7-1. Go against the Minnesota Vikings the following week with another fellow 7-1 team, and unfortunately we fall short. And, maybe that's just the cost of looking ahead too soon, of assuming that we're going to roll into Minnesota, or against Minnesota, I should say, playing against another 7-1 team to establish our dominance. And maybe there are a lot of effects of this game that played into what happened, but I'm happy to talk about it with you guys. I want to work through it. A lot of emotions that we experienced in this game, and I'm very happy to be able to have the opportunity to sit here and talk about it with you guys. Let's get this out together. Yeah, Kim, it was ugly today. That's the best way to put it. It's the best way to summarize it. There was not much positive to be taken from this game. Genuinely, there were some positives, but for the most part, what we noticed were things that are continuously haunting us, in my opinion. Let me just finish getting these things out. I want to tweet out everything I can and set the banners up because I'm not always prepared, everybody. I know. Bills lose. That's 20-17 in week 9. Allen, 18 for 34. Let's see, 205. And Josh didn't even throw for a touchdown. That's kind of crazy. I didn't think about that one. That's kind of wild. 205. 0 for 2. And what do you have? 9 for 86. And 1, 2. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. Okay. Lose an ugly one. All right. Let me just put that on. Okay. Here we go. Josh might have lost his MVP stance. We talked about this last week. Following the Bills loss, or maybe it was Monday, after I went live after the Packers, or live after the Monday night game, which was the Bengals and the Browns. I was asking, it might have been that live or the live after the Packers game. It was Tuesday night. I asked, did Josh Allen, after the second half of the Packers game, kind of lose a step in the MVP race? Because I'd say he'd certainly, up to that point, had it, in a chokehold. And after that second half, I was thinking to myself, you know what, maybe he lost a step. And now we get to this week, and I think it's safe to say that he's fallen back down to earth with the rest of the candidates, and he's no longer ahead of the game in the way that, he was before, unfortunately. And obviously, that's not something that really is at the forefront of our mindset here, where we have a bigger goal in mind. But, you got an MVP quarterback at the helm. You got a much better chance at, bringing home the whole thing. I guess award given or not, it doesn't matter. But he definitely, in terms of personal awards, personal standards, Josh Allen has, worked his way back down to the rest of the candidates that were in the running with him. With that being said, I do think he could have been better today. I think there were moments where he didn't look great. Obviously, Josh Allen was terrible, awful, worst QB I've ever seen. Yeah, I think that's about spot on, right? But I think the one interception he threw on the very first drive, where their kicker slipped on the kickoff. I simply think that Dawson Knox was. The guy covering Dawson Knox, I think he just didn't see him. I don't know how he wouldn't have seen him. Maybe somebody was just body blocking him so perfectly, which, in a very odd world is possible, but he didn't see him. He threw the ball right to the Jets defensive back, and that's a bad turnover. The second interception he threw, it looked to be a miscommunication between him and Diggs. Josh Allen, at this point in his time, doesn't miss throws that poorly. Davis was damn near on the sideline, and he threw to Sauce, who was pretty much just standing probably at the hash. So there's just no way that was anything more than a miscommunication. At other points in the game, he just didn't look great either. He was underthrowing some guys. He was missing throws that you expect him to make. And he was getting tripped up by pass rushers in moments where you didn't expect him to. So I mean, I just didn't think this was a game that, was on the list of being a trap game. I thought there were games down the line that could fall under that umbrella, but I honestly thought this game, was on lock for us. Like he says, I had the Bills losing this game before the season started. I had a feeling we'd come in unprepared and get shocked. It's unfortunate, but very embarrassing losses happen. Yeah, like I was just saying, I personally didn't think this was on that list of trap games, in my opinion, but, lo and behold, here we are. But the Jets came to play. Their defense is for real. They have a top third unit on the defensive side of the ball, and they caught us on an off day offensively. And that was the result. I guess looking back, the matchup maybe was not perfect for us. The Jets have been running the ball very well all year. We went into the game without either of our starting safeties. We were missing, obviously a few other defensive backs. Matt Milano was out of the game. This was not our healthiest matchup. Obviously, like I said, the Jets have been running the ball pretty well. And we're facing off against the defense that, like I said, has been pretty hot as well. And our offense just did not come out prepared as they should have. In the first half, Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, for the most part, were clicking. They were finding each other more often than not. And then, obviously, Stephon Diggs got lost in the game plan once the Jets started to figure out a workaround. And that's where you would expect a guy like Gabe Davis to kind of step up, or maybe Dawson Knox, to kind of fill that role. That's the whole purpose of having, what you'd like to think is a star wide receiver too. When your first guy's getting locked up, he's the focal point of the defense. He's getting double, triple teams. He's getting bracket coverage. That's where your second star wide receiver has to step up. He has to win his outside one-on-one matchups. He has to get separation. And that's just where Gabe Davis was not able to do so today. The Gabe Davis discourse is very interesting. As much as we all want to admit that, he's one of the better wide receiver twos in the league, this was a day where he needed to step up, in that Chiefs game, in the divisional round, of course, that was his big breakout. And he stepped up in those matchups where he was finding one-on-one situations where he was the focal point of our offense. He stepped up when he had to. And today was another one of those moments where he needed to be that guy, and he just wasn't able to do it. And it just begs the question, is Gabe Davis going to be able to be that guy on a week-to-week basis? Not even just talking about the final play in which, Sauce had the breakup, which in my opinion was DPI, but I do not blame the refs for not throwing the flag. That's a catch you probably need to be coming down with if you want to be considered that guy, for lack of a better term. If Gabe Davis wants to be that guy, that's a catch he needs to make. I mean, Josh Allen's rolling out on 4th and 21, and he heaves a ball up, which is pretty much perfect. I mean, it's a 70-yard throw from behind the line of scrimmage. He's getting flushed out of the pocket. He's, rolling left, and he puts a dime right in the breadbasket to Gabe Davis, who was, of course, like I mentioned, slightly getting interfered with, and he just can't come down with it. Those are plays that we need. Even earlier in the game, Gabe Davis had a couple drops that I thought, a guy like Gabe Davis, at least in the standing or the light that we held him under, you'd like him to make that catch. But yeah, I mean, there was just so many miscues on the offensive side of the ball today. So many. I was just glad to see that, for the most part, Josh Allen was still able to utilize his legs in big moments. He was still able to get the ball into areas when he had to. It wasn't his best showing, but for a guy that we're so used to playing above and beyond, it was his worst performance of the year, but it wasn't. It also wasn't the most embarrassing thing for Josh personally. On that final drive, I think if you give Josh the actual opportunity, of course, you got the ball back, but the offensive line, they crumble and they curl up in the big moments. It seems like last time we find ourselves in the situation where we need to have a game-winning drive against the Miami Dolphins, I think it was Roger Saffold who took a big hold around midfield, and that set us back and pretty much killed our potential game-winning drive hopes. And now this week against the New York Jets, we find ourselves in a situation where we have about a minute 45, and we could drive down the field and punch the ball in for a touchdown or even just a field goal to tie the game. And the offensive line once again crumbles. Deion Dawkins takes a costly holding penalty. That sets us back to 1st and 20. And then, Roger Saffold again, I think it was Roger. No, it was Quessenberry. I'm sorry. Quessenberry gets beat like a drum on the outside, and Josh gets strip sacked. And now, unfortunately, we have to worry about Josh Allen's, it looks like forearm or elbow, his arm generally. That's not good, man. He was holding his arm. He missed the throw to Diggs. A play later or so that he kind of threw into the dirt, and you could see him holding his arm. That's the biggest concern to me right now. The Rams lost 3 divisional games last year and still went on to win the Super Bowl. So this loss sucks, but it's week 9. I'm not gonna throw up over it. But seeing Josh Allen hold his arm, hold his elbow, that's the biggest concern to me, because I think it's become very apparent that out of any offense in the NFL, this is probably one of the out of all of the top offenses, I should say, this offense is definitely most, reliant on our quarterback play. The offenses, the other offenses in the league, I think they can get away with being able to pound the rock a lot more if hypothetically their starting quarterback went down. Like the Vikings, for example, I think they'd be able to turn around and hand it to Dalvin Cook if it weren't Kirk Cousins. It'd be a little bit more successful than we would be if, Matt Barkley had to step in and he was handing the ball off to Devin Singletary, if that makes sense. So we're very, very Josh Allen reliant, which has been a very hot topic of conversation this year. So if he happens to have any kind of severe injury that, keeps him out for a number of weeks, or who knows, whatever it may be. That's the biggest scare I'm having right now is Josh Allen's health, his elbow. The game, it sucks. I'm over it. But Josh Allen's elbow is really what I'm worried about. Yeah, Mikey says we're 0-2 against AFC East teams. We are. We're the only team in the NFL right now that has not beaten a divisional opponent through 9 weeks of football. Definitely an odd stat, but not one that I'm worried about. I think it's a stat that is more for the broadcast, a pretty stat for the announcers to put out there to the public to make it seem like they're very smart, which, of course, it's an important stat, but nothing that I'm hanging my hat on. What's disgusting? We need to figure out our run game. 3 years in a row, we still can't do it. Yeah, I mean, our inefficiency to run the ball it's terrible. Not to mention, I was talking about it earlier. Our offensive line, it seems like in bigger moments, seems to crumble and crush. Really just curl up under pressure when we need them to, stand tall the most. I think the offensive line in general, it's just been underwhelming. It's been better, but not by much. It's not like we had a Bengals offensive line last year, then we had the overhaul that they seem to have, and now they still are sucking. But it's still, not exactly the offensive line performance that I've been hoping to see. The push up front hasn't been great. I mean, Devin Singletary individually has been playing fantastic. Devin Singletary is becoming an every down back in the NFL. He's one of the most efficient runners. I think he's fantastic as a pass catcher out of the backfield. He really can do it all, in my opinion. It's really just coming down to the push we get up front. And it's really unfortunate that we still have to have this conversation as a team that we're trying to have Super Bowl hopes. We do have Super Bowl hopes, and we still can't find a way to run the ball. We're seeing with the Los Angeles Rams, they had a hard time down the stretch last year, despite winning it all, granted, but they had a hard time moving the football on the ground last year down the stretch, and they were able to get away and win the championship, but it did not look like a team that honestly deserved it. We've had this conversation 800 times. The Rams nor the Bengals looked like two teams that actually deserved to be where they got. And it's not very often that you get to say something like that. Like usually those two teams that are in that game, they look like they deserve to be there. If we can't figure out how to run the ball, man, efficiently and effectively, then, it's just going to be the same type of conversation. We're going to need to figure that out up front. And even like I mentioned, just in those big moments where, Josh Allen might need that extra second or two to get the ball off. We need our tackles to stand tall. We need our guards to, stay tight. But just a lot of, big moments in that game that weren't seized. And, Josh Allen, as bad as he may have played by his standards, I thought he could have used some help. This might be me protecting Josh. I feel like after a loss like this, I feel like I become such a protective, mother over her puppies for a very corny analogy. I just feel like anything that's said badly about the Bills, I get very stop. Of course, I'm sitting here talking about the Bills, but if hypothetically a fan of another team said something negative about the Bills, of course, we're going to read on Twitter and, hear through the media all week. I'm going to get a protective mother and, try to deflect everything. But yeah, I mean, the facts are the facts, guys. The Bills have issues that have been issues over the last few years. And at this point, it's becoming, glaring that the issues we're having are not being solved, and the injuries are, just mounting up. We were just talking about Josh Allen holding his elbow. Matt Milano has never proved his worth more without dressing. I don't think I've ever seen a player prove his worth more without dressing than Matt Milano did today. We couldn't stop the run. The Jets, on paper, they were actually a bad matchup for us considering the circumstances. They're a very good team running the football. Obviously not having Matt Milano, that's a big hit. Not having Jordan Poyer to come up at the line of scrimmage and make some physical tackles. We were, missing a lot of other defensive backs as well. On paper, in hindsight, the Jets offense, the way they've been playing this year, was honestly a somewhat not great matchup for us, considering everything, in advance. But still, you'd like to think that we can have, our run defense, stiffen up when they really had to. Whenever it came to Zach Wilson passing the ball, I thought we did well. The pressure got to him. And Zach Wilson obviously doesn't do well under pressure, but there were a couple of points where it's like, they're going to run the ball. Hey guys, they're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball. They're running the ball. They're going to run it. And then they gain yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards. It's like, come on. Like, eventually, let's try and stiffen up here. Let's make a tackle, set them behind the chains, get them to 2nd and 10, force them to a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, where Zach Wilson has to make a throw under pressure. It just felt like there were moments where that didn't happen. I'm not going to say this loss. Let's be very clear on one thing. This loss is nothing. This has nothing to do with the defense. This loss is not on the defense in the slightest bit. The defense did their job, just like in the Miami game. In the Miami game, they made that stop at the end, and forced the butt punt. I think it was the butt punt, right? In the Miami game. And they gave the offense an opportunity to drive down the field and win. This is the same exact thing. Right outside the end zone, the Bills defense makes a stop, forces the Jets to take 3 points, and gives the offense an opportunity to win. This loss is not on the defense in the slightest. They were injured all over the place. They were dealing with a lot of adversity, bad matchup on paper, and they still did their job, in my opinion, for the most part. It's just unfortunate that the offense wasn't able to capitalize. Bracket Diggs and have Gabe Davis covered by number 1 corner, force Bills to run. That's how the rest of the year will be against our offense. Yeah, I mean, that's really what the Jets did. Gabe Davis really had no impact in this game, like we were saying. It was really Stephon Diggs in the first half, making things work. And then once Diggs was seeing all the attention, Davis wasn't able to become that guy for us. And the Odell Beckham Jr. conversation is really going to heat up. All right. There are teams out there that really need a guy like Odell Beckham Jr. right now. And we are entering that conversation. I think, prior to today, I could have told you that, I think we're good as is, but it would be nice. It'd be like adding, what's it called? A car ornament or a hood. It'd be like adding a hood ornament to like a very nice Lamborghini. It's like, it's nice to have, but you don't need it. Now it's like, the Lamborghini could use, it could use some new tires, or, this Lamborghini could use, an upgraded engine, or it could use, I don't know. I'm not a car guy, but, it could use an upgrade in a pretty substantial area to help this team, to help this car run better. That's the way I'm looking at it. This Odell Beckham Jr. conversation, adding him to this offense is no longer, to me, a hood ornament upgrade. To me, it's an upgrade in which will really get us over the hump. Adding Nyheim Hines was nice. I didn't expect him to be that involved in the game today, and he honestly received a lot more snaps than I expected. He was open down the sideline, and Josh unfortunately missed him. But he saw a lot more time today than I expected, and it was nice to add him. I think he's a nice Swiss Army knife, as described by the broadcast to this team, but we need that real kick in the ass to turn things around. And I think Odell Beckham Jr. is that guy. But we're not going to be the only team in this conversation, man. I think the Cowboys could easily swoop in and take Odell Beckham Jr. from us. Maybe he goes back to the Rams. There's other teams off the top of my head that I'm not going to be able to mention. The Chiefs, who knows? They traded for Kadarius Toney, but they could still be in that conversation. We really need to look at Odell Beckham Jr., call him up and say, look, dude, I don't know what you want, how much you're looking for. I don't care. Just come here. I think that's just how the conversation is going to have to go to really give us the best opportunity to win this damn thing. Because unfortunately, Isaiah McKenzie, don't trust him to do very much impactful, really change the game. Khalil Shakir is just a rookie. Gabe Davis, I think, is a difference maker at some points, but we need a consistent difference maker. And you know what, man? It's Odell Beckham Jr. That's my answer, and I've been saying it for a couple weeks now. I am demanding that we go out and get him by any means necessary. Joey says the last couple weeks we couldn't stop a cold, and they keep running it right down our throat. We got to show up at the line. I thought that's what we did in the offseason, but evidently not. Yep, I mean, both sides of the ball. We can't run the ball effectively, and we've shown struggle stopping the run these last 2 weeks. Granted, I think we were light on the Packers. They were coming out in the third quarter down by 2 possessions and just running the ball and wasting their own clock. I think we were fine at that point letting them do that. I think we were just kind of, whatever about it. But today, it's like we knew they were going to run the ball. That was the only way they were really moving the ball, effectively. And we still couldn't stop it. So if this becomes a constant issue, that's really going to piss me off. I think we've done a good job up to this point stymieing the run game of the opposing offense for the most part. But if this becomes a reoccurring theme where we once again can't stop the damn run game, I'm going to be pissed, because that's a conversation that I've had enough of. Last year, watching that the second that Patriots game ended, that windstorm, that anomaly windstorm that we lost where Mac Jones threw 3 passes, the second we lost that game, I had enough with the lack of run stopping that our defense had been experiencing. It was really driving me nuts. That was when I kind of drew the line, and I was like, this is getting to be really unacceptable. And for the most part up to this point, we've fixed that. But the last 6 quarters now, I would say it's been a little bit concerning that that teams are kind of gashing us when they feel, whenever they feel. Mikey says Quinnen Williams is an animal, even though he's a Jet. I really like him. Yeah, Quinnen Williams entered the league. I think it was 2019, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been 2020. Or was it 28? Was it the same year as Josh, actually? It might have been 2018. Let's look it up real quick. Quinnen Williams. I think it was actually 2018. Let's see. Quinnen Williams was drafted 2019. Yeah, I like Quinnen Williams a lot. He's playing like one of the most dominant interior defensive linemen in the NFL right now. He's probably, of course, Aaron Donald's always going to be atop that conversation. But if we're talking about right now, Quinnen Williams is probably a top 3 interior defensive lineman. He's creating all sorts of penetration, all sorts of pressure from the inside. He's been a monster. He terrorized the Packers when he played against Aaron Rodgers a couple weeks ago. He comes in and wrecks havoc today. And he allows all the one-on-one matchups on the outside. So, I really like Quinnen Williams too. Good guy. Very ferocious player. I'm glad he's living up to the hype that he had pre-draft. So, good for him, to touch on that note. OBJ is starting a bidding war teams, and we don't have money to bid, so I don't see it happening. I think it could happen. I think Odell Beckham Jr., despite a loss like this, I don't think a loss like this really deters, what Odell Beckham Jr. is thinking of doing. We're still, in my opinion, the best team in football. There's no debating that. I still think we're up there. Like the Chiefs lost to the Colts in ugly fashion. We see where the Colts are now. The freaking Eagles had a very hard time against Davis Mills and the Texans on Thursday Night Football. They did come out on top, but they had a game where it seemed like they had a lapse in judgment. So this shit happens, man. It just does. And it's very similar to it feels very similar to the Jags loss last year. That's the type of vibe I get from this game. A Jags loss from 2021. That's exactly how it felt. And I was kind of hoping that we were immune to that this year. I was really hoping that we could have avoided the chaotic upsets that all these other teams have been experiencing, but unfortunately, we are just like everybody else. And I guess it's a humbling thought, and it sucks, but it's also, I think, a good reality check. And hopefully we're able to get healthy. Hopefully this week off for Poyer and Milano was really worth it. It's really what will accelerate them to being healthy for next week against the Vikings, because that's a big game. The Vikings are 7-1 right now, although I think the Vikings are the least convincing 7-1 team I've seen in a hot minute. That's still a tough game. A lot of offensive weapons that we're going to have to deal with. And if we're dealing with as many injuries on the defensive side of the ball as we are, and we come out offensively and play the way we did today, next week against the Vikings, we lose next week by 30 points. It's that simple. Dalvin Cook will run all over us. If we don't have Matt Milano, TJ Hockenson over the middle is going to have a field day. Justin Jefferson is going to be running free behind Jaquan Johnson and DeMar Hamlin. I mean, we're going to get roasted. And if Josh Allen and the offense can't keep up, that could get ugly. So we're going to have to get healthy. We're going to have to get our head straight. Because next week, it's a big one. That's a big prove-it game for both teams. If the Bills can come out and take down the Vikings, who are, of course, that 7-1 team, that force in the NFC. If we're able to take them down, then that'll be a statement. This is a statement game for both teams, in my opinion. So we really got to get healthy and get our minds right, because that's a tough one. On that note, I wanted to talk about what that final play and get your guys' opinion on that 4th and 21. Did you guys think that was honestly, from a non-biased perspective, did you guys think Sauce Gardner was illegally interfering with Gabe Davis? Was that defensive pass interference on that last play? And from a very I watch every Bills game with the least amount of bias I possibly can. I thought that was defensive pass. I think in any other situation that is called as defensive pass interference. But on the other hand, I wholeheartedly respect the Jets or the refs holding that flag. That's a big spot. You don't want the refs to be dictating how that really goes. And at the end of the day, Gabe Davis had every opportunity to catch that ball. Gabe Davis probably should have came down with that ball. So, yeah, I mean, Mike, that's exactly how I feel. I think it was DPI, but in that moment, the refs, you really can't throw that flag. We're not talking about like a Rams Saints, missed DPI in a big moment in the NFC Championship. We're not talking about something drastic like that. They were hand fighting, but I think, Sauce Gardner pretty much face guards the whole time. He throws his hands up and, makes a lot of contact with Gabe Davis. By rule, if you do not turn your head and you face guard and you make contact with that with the offensive player, that's a flag. I mean, that's by definition a flag. And that's exactly what I saw from Sauce Gardner. He was face guarding, didn't turn his head, threw his hands up, and made what I think was enough contact with Gabe Davis to warrant a flag just in that moment. Understandably, it wasn't egregious enough to throw it. And I do want to actually watch this play to see how much Gabe, because I know a lot of people were saying Gabe should have caught it, and I watched it once or twice. I'm like, yeah, he probably should have. But I do want to see it again just to actually see what everybody's talking about. So let's share the screen here and check it out. Let's do that. All right. So here's what we're checking out here. Gabe Davis on 4th and 21. Should this have been a catch? Let's see. I hope they show like the alternate angle. So Josh obviously gets flushed out. They send 4, and obviously we're probably in. All right, here we go. I mean, it goes through his hands. I can't tell. That's really tough to tell. Please show the alternate angle. Yeah, Sauce Gardner, whatever. Where's the ball? I mean, that's DPI, man. I mean, Gabe Davis is kind of pulling him away, but look at that ball, man. Like, that's such a good ball. We're talking about, do you see where Josh launches this ball, by the way? He is standing. He rolls out. He's at the 2-yard line right now, right? Josh is going to step up to the 5. He gets to the 10-yard line. This is the 10. He's about to release this football. Let's check this out. This goes from the 10 to the, what? The 22? Are we looking at the 22 about? So what's that? 10 yards, 10 to 40 to the 22. 68 yards? I mean, is that the right math? Is that a 68-yard throw getting flushed out to his left? That's ridiculous. And it's going to look at. I mean, this is the ball. This is pretty much where it needs to be, and it goes right through his hands. That's so painful. I mean, it legit goes right through his hands. Oh my God. And Gabe, I mean, nah, like that's what I'm talking about. Like, Sauce Gardner needs to have his head turned if he's going to do this. This is what I mean. By definition, if he's not going to turn his head, that's in my opinion. Oh man, it's really tough. That's really tough. I mean, look at that, bro. You got to have that. You got to have, I mean, I'm taking a picture of this. This is probably the best angle of it I'm going to get. You got to have that ball, Gabe. It's as simple as that. It really is. Wow. That's tough. That's really tough. It goes right through. Oh, here's another good angle. Ooh, let's go ESPN. I mean, you know what? Gabe Davis, I love you, bro, but this is a moment. This is a moment where you need to man up. Gabe Davis is a big physical receiver. He's going up against one of the hottest young corners in the NFL. But this was a moment you needed to have, man. If you really wanted to say I'm him, that's your time. That's your time. I mean, it's that simple. It really is that simple. Tough way though to oh my God, another angle. Brilliant. Look at him. I mean, it hits him in the chest. This has to be caught. I mean, it hits him in the chest, man. I mean, there's nothing more Josh Allen can do. This is what I mean. Like, Josh Allen really did everything he could on that final drive. He gave his team, considering the circumstances, every opportunity. He gets that bad holding. He hits Stephon Diggs on the sideline on a beautiful dart. That was negated by the hold, and then he strip sacked after Quessenberry gets beat like a drum. It's like, at least give your quarterback an opportunity here. I know he's played bad, but seeing how Josh Allen has performed under pressure in the past, Josh Allen under pressure is one of the scariest players, in the NFL, in my opinion. When Josh Allen is put under pressure, he's put under the spotlight to make a play, to make something happen. He is that guy, man. Like, pressure makes diamonds, corny expression, but it really does. Pressure makes diamonds, and Josh Allen in these pressure moments has become that diamond many times. It's just in times where he can't even, get the opportunity to make a play because the guys around him are letting him down. It's honestly that simple. Josh Allen, a lot of times throughout the game, let the rest of his team down. Let's be honest here. Josh did not have his best game, threw a couple bad interceptions, did not play great. Let's keep that straight. But in the biggest moment of the game on that final drive, you still have an opportunity to win. You need the rest of your offense to step up to the plate and, follow the lead of your quarterback, who is, more than ready to step up to the moment, step up to the plate and make something happen. But, New York Jets, let's get some, awesome Jets fan here. I won't talk smack, but your defense was gassed in the third quarter. Yeah, I mean, our defense was struggling to stop the run. We were, Mr. New York Jets FL. We were talking about it earlier in this live stream. Prior to the game, myself included, I didn't actually realize, you guys, the Jets really did have the matchup against us, offensively to our defense, right? The Jets have been moving the ball well all year on the ground. And without Matt Milano in the game, without our two starting safeties who get physical at the line of scrimmage, I didn't realize it to begin with, but it really was a matchup nightmare on paper, and the Jets had their way all day in the trenches on both sides of the ball, for being honest. And Michael Carter, James Robinson made an impact since he got moved to the Jets. And I was expecting that when James Robinson got traded to the Jets, I was expecting him to see a relatively heavy workload, and I think that's going to continue. And I'm happy for James Robinson. I like James Robinson, an undrafted guy that's made his impact in this league. So I hope he continues to see a lot of run. But I think our defense was gassed, but I also think that it just really was a matter of the matchups in the trenches. You guys were more physical up front than we were. The ground game, you were having your way, and then allowing Zach Wilson to pass without pressure. That's when he's best. Zach Wilson is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL when he's not under pressure. He's damn near perfect. I mean, not to exaggerate, but he really is. He's very good when he's not feeling any heat. But when the run game's having its way and he's able to pass without that pressure, I mean, that's the result we saw. A defense that couldn't keep up with a Zach Wilson that came up when he needed to most, in a run game that was driving us nuts. I mean, that's just the moral of the story. So as much as I do think we were gassed, I just don't think we were able to keep up with the physicality down there, personally, in my opinion. The Jets offense did the ball way more than our offense did. Yes, our defense was gassed, and Russo was sitting because he was hurt. Yeah, I mean, the injuries racked up. It's no excuse. We need to, it's no excuse. The defense did their job. The defense was the more injured side of the ball, and I thought they did more than their job. They held the Jets to 20 points. I mean, if you can't win a football game with the high-powered offense that we have, and your defense is only allowing 20 points, I mean, that's bad. 20 points is not a lot in the age of 2022. Like, it's not a lot at all. And with a so-called high-powered offense that we have, we should easily be able to, no matter who we're playing against, man, we should be able to put up the amount of points that we need to win that game. That loss is on the offense 100%. No doubt. Oh man, I need to take a water break. Hold on. Oh, okay. On another note, something I wanted to talk about as well. Going back to that Sauce Gardner, Gabe Davis play, I like Sauce. I don't want to talk shit, but I think Sauce Gardner's, he's been playing great. He's a top 5 corner in the NFL right now, without question. But in moments like that, there was a play against the Broncos when the Jets played the Broncos where he went up one-on-one against Cortland Sutton. And, he made a lot of – it was pretty much the last play of the game. It was a fourth down, just pretty much Hail Mary Chuck by – I think it was Brett Rippon because Russ wasn't playing. But regardless, it was a Hail Mary Chuck to Cortland Sutton, and it was Sauce Gardner one-on-one with Cortland. And I thought he had a lot of contact in that time too, and it was just another one of those moments where it's the end of the game. Refs don't want to dictate it one way or another, but if it's any other moment, that's probably a flag. And honestly, if we're being 100% honest, to Sauce Gardner's credit, he knows in these moments that, hey, look, they're not pulling the flag right now. As long as I'm not egregious about it, I'm going to do what I got to do to break up this pass. Honestly, I was going to take an alternative route with this and say, it's Sauce Gardner in those moments. He does a little bit more holding than he should and blah, blah, blah. Maybe he doesn't make that, whatever. But honestly, I think Sauce Gardner, looking at it from an alternative perspective, is a genius. He knows in those moments, these stripes ain't throwing shit right now. They ain't throwing a flag. They know they want to dictate the game. They don't want to get booed out of here because, the home team, there was a flag thrown on the home team on a 4th and 21. Those refs know better. He goes into that 4th and 21 knowing that he can get away with armed robbery. I mean, and granted, it was that Sauce was not doing anything egregious to the point where the refs absolutely had to throw a flag. I'm completely fine with the no call. But to his credit, Sauce knows that, you know what? I can be more handsy here. I can get just as physical with Gabe Davis, more than I usually would. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to do what I got to do to break up this pass. I'm going to get more handsy. I'm going to get more physical. And he knows he can get away with it. So, honestly, to his credit, honestly, hats off to Sauce. He comes up when he has to. He's very situationally aware. I was going to take a much different route with the Sauce Gardner discourse there, but I think he's smart enough to know what he's doing, actually, when looking at it from a broader perspective, and it only makes it better in my mind, honestly, looking at it that way. Boycott Activision. Yeah, I agree. Boycott Activision. But Gabe Davis was just as physical on Sauce on that play. Yeah, I know. I watched it back a couple times. Davis, you could see Davis kind of shoving his hand into Sauce's chest, kind of trying to get in separation. And he did, honestly. He did get the separation necessary to come down with the ball because I hit him right in the chest. So you're right. I don't think on Gabe Davis's end there was as much to call for OPI as there was for Sauce. The only reason why I say Sauce probably deserved a DPI on that play, if it were any other play in the game, if it were any other moment, is because you can't face guard and you can't face guard and make that much contact with the receiver. You just can't. So yeah, that's the only reason why I think it was DPI. Lady D says the Colts were worse. I assume you mean the Chiefs lost to the Colts. Yeah, that was, or maybe you're talking about the Colts lost, the Bills lost to the Colts last year. That was bad. But that game, it didn't even feel like it was reality. I mean, it was over in, what felt like 60 seconds instead of 60 minutes. And we, had 45 points hung up on our necks. That's what that felt like. So yeah, I mean, that game was bad too, but I almost look at the Colts game as from last year, if that's what you're referring to. It was just another bad matchup. We'd struggled to stop the run at that point. And Jonathan Taylor and that offensive line was obviously going to have their way, and they had their way a lot more than we had thought at that point. But anyway, Ross has a good question. What's up with Knox? Nothing. That's what. He's currently rated the 32nd most impactful tight end. That's dead last. He's sixth highest paid. He's done nothing. Well, while I answer this question, I do have a question for you. Is there like a 32nd most impactful tight end? Is that like a ESPN stat or something? Do you know? Like, I want to know if like that's a list, because that'll be an interesting list that I can look at if you can tell me where you got that info from, because that'd be a very, very interesting list. But anyway, on your point, Ross, I honestly had the same kind of thinking a couple of weeks ago. Dawson Knox was a very prominent part of this offense, especially in the red zone last year. Dawson Knox really came into his own. He made me eat my words. Going into last year, I would have traded Dawson Knox for the nearest traffic cone. I was done. I wanted nothing to do with the guy. I wanted Zach Ertz. I wanted Jacob Hollister to remain on the roster. I wanted anything and everything that wasn't Dawson Knox going into 2021. He made me eat every one of those words, and he was fantastic. And now we get to this year, and he's seemingly invisible, man. I'm not sure why. He's just, I don't know if he's not getting open. I guess it'd take film watching, which I'm not a big film guy, but if I really wanted to indulge deeper here, maybe I heard earlier in the year that obviously Dawson lost his brother Luke, and I think when I was thinking the same thing you're thinking, Murdoch, I heard this quote from Josh saying, we've just been helping Dawson. It was when Dawson caught that big touchdown a couple weeks ago. Actually, that's when Josh had this quote. He said, it's very nice to get him that ball so he could score. He could do it for his brother. Blah blah blah. He's been struggling with it. Honestly, I think Knox is just not been as impactful. I don't know where his mind is at, unfortunately, with the loss of his brother. I'm sure he's, moving through it every day, but obviously something as impactful as that in your life is no joke. It's so sad to say, it's so sad to talk about. I'm getting chills just talking about it, man. It's just not a thought that can cross my mind, and to imagine it being my own reality is a sickening thought. So, football numbers aside, I think I could chalk it up as Dawson Knox maybe just trying to fight through what he dealt with earlier, and maybe that's what's attributing to this. But I guess back on topic of football, we are going to this year kind of relying on Dawson Knox to be one of those bigger options for Josh. Next to Gabe Davis, of course, having Steph as the number one, but seeming as Dawson's been kind of phased out of the picture as of late, and Gabe Davis being relatively inconsistent and not coming up when we need him, it's kind of created this question mark at the second top option spot for us right now. So, to your point, I think that's what I would attribute that to, and I don't blame Dawson Knox. So I kind of leave this topic alone just for the simple fact that I'm not sure what he's dealing with mentally. I don't know where his mind's at, but I just hope he's all right. But it's definitely something to keep note of, for sure. Pokemon says Sauce ain't no joke. Yeah, we just got Pokemon. We just got done talking about this, man. Sauce is no joke. I was actually gonna come onto this live stream and talk about how I feel like Sauce gets a little bit more physical than he should and gets away with stuff that I don't think he should in some big moments. But I actually had a change of heart. Sauce on that final play to Gabe. I'll go through the whole reiteration again. I think Sauce knows. He knows it's 4th and 21. If he throws to my guy, the refs ain't throwing no flag in this spot. The refs do not want to get shit thrown at them walking out of MetLife right now. If I throw a flag for DPI in this moment, they know they're going to get shit for it. I think Sauce has that in the back of his mind, and he's like, I'm going to be more physical when I need to on this play. I'm going to do what I have to break this pass up. And I think Sauce is situationally aware to know that he can be a little bit more physical and do, a little bit more than maybe he would any other play to get the job done. So, yeah, I mean, I think Sauce is a dog, man. Top 5 corner right now without question. 2 humongous pass breakups this year to win games for the Jets. So this dude's really become the cornerstone of that defense. And good for him, man. He didn't allow a touchdown in college. If that didn't tell you that he was going to be a freak of nature in the NFL, I don't know what would. I even had the crazy thought pre-draft to, trade up for Sauce, dog. Like, I didn't know how soon he was going to get taken. I was thinking maybe if he fell to like 10th or 11th and he's somehow on the board at like 13th, you trade out with whoever, or I think it was like hypothetically, if he somehow got into the double digits and, maybe he got to pick 11, which I think is where the Lions originally were selecting. And then that's where the Saints traded up. You trade up for Sauce, man. I mean, you put Sauce in the secondary, man. This shit's over with. And of course that didn't happen, but yeah, Sauce is that guy, man. He really is. Very upset with today's game. Red zone for Bills offense is non-existent. Yeah. I actually play in a bar league football team. I'm the quarterback, and the red zone is hard. So if the red zone's hard there, granted I suck. But the red zone is hard when you take the threat of the deep ball not being there, and you get into that small area of the field. It's tough. It really is, man. So we got to figure it out. I think not being able to run the ball and get physical in the trenches on the ground is not very helpful. I think that's really got a lot to do with it. Not being able to run the ball as effectively and efficiency lately. I think that's got a lot to do with our red zone woes too. And we're having to just rely on Josh to, scramble and run it in himself, or, maybe it's a broken play that gets us in the end zone. But it feels, I don't know the exact statistic on this, but it feels like most of our touchdowns in the red zone are off of Josh runs, Josh scrambles, or broken play touchdowns. So, yeah, I don't know what the exact stat is on that, but that would be an interesting thing to note. How many of our plays in the red zone that turn out to be touchdowns are actually like drawn up what is supposed to happen plays? Like, are they well executed, designed, properly plays? Like, I really want to know a stat on that. That would be hard to find. Like says, the thing with Knox brother, probably, going back to that point for sure. For sure. A lot of the Bills need to step up their game. Yeah, I mean, it's plain and simple, man. It really is. Gabe Davis forefronts that list, in my opinion, right now. Yeah, it's simple as that. Dorsey play calling and or scheme not as tight end friendly as Dable. That's another thought I had going back to the Dawson Knox thing. Maybe it's also just, if it's a combination of Dawson Knox just, not being in the right headspace. Maybe it's Dorsey's offense just not being tight end friendly. This is another thought I had. Roy brings up a very good point. Perhaps it's just not an offense in which schemes around tight ends. Perhaps it's an offense that, I don't know, man. The X's and O's of football, my capacity, I know the game, I'd like to think, but, the nitty gritty stuff, I know the basics, but I'm not going to be able to sit here and tell you, oh, this does this and that concept. And like, I'm not. Like, I'm just being honest with you guys. So if I were to watch the game over, it would probably help me if I were to watch every game and see what Dawson Knox is doing and what every play design looked like. I'd probably be able to come up with a more educated opinion on this topic. But it does seem very odd, the whole personal situation aside for Dawson, that suddenly he's just not even seeing. It feels like he's not even getting targeted nearly as often, man. This could very well have a lot to do with it. That maybe Dawson Knox just simply isn't a focal point the same way I felt like he was last year. He's not getting maybe as many one-on-one matchups schemed up for him. Maybe not as many red zone plays that are, primarily made for him. Who knows, man? But this is also a very large possibility. I mean, it could be a lot of things with Dawson Knox right now, whether it's the personal thing, he's not seeing the ball, Josh just is, not targeting him, he's not getting open, or maybe Brian Dable's offense was just a lot more friendly in terms of getting the ball to the tight end. It really could be a number of things, but this was another thought I had. And, somebody on Cover One or, somebody over there would have a lot more of an educated opinion on than I would, but definitely another thought that I had as well. PI flag was in order, but Sauce is a dog. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Mike. 100%, Sauce is a dog, but I think if that's any other play in that game, that flag is getting thrown. Roy says Elam looked like a rookie today. Elam has, I like the pick at the time. It's very premature to determine whether or not Kerry Elam is, was the right selection or not. But I would say up to this point, battling back and forth with Christian Benford for the job and, having some games here and there where you're like, man, that was really rough for Kyer. It's not been a Tre'Davious White type pick. Let's just put it that way. And, he's definitely going to have to take some more time to develop. But, this has been a very loaded cornerback class. And unfortunately, Kyer hasn't really played up to those standards. And obviously playing up to like a Sauce Gardner standard would be ridiculous. But, he's struggled at times, throughout the year so far. And, I really hope that he kind of comes into his own, sooner than later, because we're really going to need him considering the defensive back injuries, man. But yeah, I'm not losing faith. It's 9 weeks into his rookie year. Still a lot of time before we discuss what to do with Kyer Elam, right? Mo says they took Sauce off Diggs after one play because he got burnt, and then the PI at the end of the game. Yeah. I think the way I don't think Sauce was really shadowing anybody. I think Sauce was kind of doing his own thing. I don't think the Jets felt as if it was necessary to shadow. But yeah, long story short, Sauce is a dog, man. I think it's pretty simple as that, in my opinion. Plus, if this was against the Chiefs, I bet White, Poyer, Milano all would have played. Stop saving players. Either White plays next week or put him IR for week 4. Another good point. I knew for sure, going, after hearing the injury suffered in the Packers game, the second I heard that Matt Milano was dealing with this oblique injury, the second I heard that Poyer's elbow was injured again, I'm like, they're out next week. There's no way. And I knew for a fact Trey White wasn't returning this week. It was definitely a gonna save them type of mindset. Not gonna re-injure them in a game against the Jets type of mindset. That's exactly what, they can, the front office, the Bills organization, they can sugarcoat it however they want. They could say, oh, they definitely needed to be out this week, or we definitely needed to hold them out. They weren't right. They could say whatever they want. For them to, if they ever were to step out in a press conference or something and say, and act like that wasn't the case, that they weren't holding them out due to the opponent, that would be lying. Like, let's be honest here. They were held out because we were playing a divisional opponent, which hasn't beaten us in a very long time. It's as simple as that. And that's okay. That's okay. Like, that's fine. But I think you're probably right, Ross. I don't know if Trey plays, but I think at least Milano or Poyer play in this game. Maybe even Trey. So, interesting point. I think Trey returns next week. I think Poyer returns next week. Milano, I think, could be up in the air. So I guess we'll see. Mike says defense was so hurt. 4-man rush only. Let Wilson run for first downs. Big cushion on receivers. Poor tackling. Yep. Pretty much sums it up. But in my opinion, Mike, I don't put this loss in the defense. They were dealing with all the injuries, as we were just mentioning. Holding an offense in the year 2020 to 20 points. Holy fuck. Excuse me. Holding an offense in the year 2022 to 20 points is a win. When you have Matt Milano, your all-pro linebacker out, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Trey White, when you have all these important pieces to your defense out, and you still hold the opposing offense to 20 points, that is a win no matter what. All right, that's a win. When your offense that's led by Josh Allen, supposedly high-powered, that's on the offense. They needed to put up the points to win this game. It's as simple as that. It's not like the Jets went out there and hung 32 on us. The Bills' offense had more than enough opportunities to win this game, and the defense gave the offense more than enough opportunity to win the game. So the defense was, questionable at times, but at the end of the day, I think it's because of the injuries, and there's nothing anybody can do about that, and they still did their job. So it is what it is. Ross says the Knox impactful comment was something one off of WGR pregame commented on. Not sure if it's an official statistic, but I'll bet he's not far from last place. Who could be worse? Yeah, I mean, you're right. If this list definitely existed to some rate, Dawson Knox is probably lower on that list in terms of starting tight ends, at least. Unfortunately, yeah, that's the reality of things, that Dawson Knox's impact has been pretty much non-existent. He had that big touchdown in a game earlier this year that I, for some reason, can't remember who it was against. Was it the Packers? No. I don't remember who it was against, but he had that big touchdown. Otherwise, he hasn't done nothing. Usually every 3 or 4 games, we get like the Dawson Knox angry run, or like he makes some ridiculous catch in double coverage, or he catches a ball in the flats and then stiff arms somebody into the ground. Like, we haven't gotten that yet, man. Like we said, whether it's because of the personal situation or the offensive scheme not, giving him the looks, or Josh not targeting him not getting open, who knows? Go ask Cover One. I ain't that guy to figure that out. But, the fact is, Dawson Knox, gone. And, we need to get him more involved. If we're not going to bring in Odell Beckham Jr., Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox need to be those two guys to really step it up. Because that was the plan going into this year, that Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox can pick up the weight as the second target collectively. And that just has not gone to plan so far whatsoever. All right, let me get a water break. Holy shit. Ugly wins count. Ugly losses suck. That's a very good point, man. We come out with a win in this game. We have a bad taste in our mouth, but we're still saying a win is a win. We're all sitting here like, a win is a win. A win is a win. Who cares? You lose, and it's like, the world is falling. The sky is falling. Tough. They said that Elam has an ankle injury. Oh, man. Didn't Dane Jackson and Teron Johnson go down in this game, too? Oh, man. I mean, I forgot those things even happened. That's tough. In my opinion, Josh actually underthrew Davis and Diggs in the fourth quarter. There was a pass to Diggs in which Josh underthrew, but I think it was because his arm hurt. There also was another throw where he underthrew Davis, if I'm not mistaken. But on that final ball to Davis, that Sauce had him. That was the ball, man. That Josh Allen to Gabe Davis throw, which Sauce broke up. That was the ball. I mean, there was no other ball that you could ask for. It was perfect, right in the breadbasket, 70 yards up the sideline, rolled out left, flushed under pressure, put it in the breadbasket on 4th and 21 for the game. And your big physical receiver is supposed to come down with that. It's that simple, man. It really is. Roy says, I have been saying since training camp this team is receiver short. I'm really believing that more and more. Yeah. Same here, dude. Same here. I was not big on the idea of, going and getting another great wide receiver, another great pass catcher this offseason. I didn't think it was necessarily necessary. But, now with Jamison Crowder getting hurt, Isaiah McKenzie clearly not being able to handle a workload bigger than what he's gotten in the past, as well as Dawson Knox kind of getting phased out and Gabe Davis being inconsistent. This whole number 2 pass catcher role has pretty much been thrown up for grabs, and it's only a matter of time before we find out who is going to be that guy, or if we have that guy, or if we have to go and get that guy. And the trade deadline's gone, so it's really Odell Beckham or bust, or Will Fuller. Will Fuller, wherever that guy's at. But it really is Odell Beckham or someone has to step up, man. And my answer is Odell Beckham. No, we were talking about this earlier. Odell Beckham is no longer an addition to this offense. That is a hood ornament. He is now an upgrade to the tires or the wheels, or he's an engine upgrade, or what else helps a car run better? I don't know. He's an upgrade. He's no longer just a fashion item, an accessory to make this offense look flashier, to look more fun. It's in my opinion an upgrade that is becoming next to necessary. In my opinion. Robert, nice to see you, man. Hey, Caveman, I didn't see the game here in Alabama, but it had to be terrible to see. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. You probably should be happy you didn't see it, Robert. Man, it was just a tough. It was tough from start to finish. I mean, the Jets kicker stumbles on the kickoff, and we get the ball at the 40. We hit Diggs on the sideline for a 40-yard gain, and then Josh throws what looks like a buddy pass to He literally, it looked like he handed the ball off to the Jets defensive back, and throws a terrible interception, continuing a not so great stretch of 6 quarters of football here for him. But yeah, I mean, that from that second forward, it really did not have many positives. We struggled throughout the entirety of the game. A lot of frustration for both sides of the ball, for us fans sitting at home, and for anybody that went to MetLife. It was a struggle from start to finish. It really was. Not a second I was like, wow, yay, very excited for what happened. I just was, even when Josh, scored his couple touchdowns, I was excited, but it's also like playing the Jets here, guys. Like, this is a team where, they've been playing well, but we've gotten to a point where we're supposed to be the Super Bowl favorites. Like, this shouldn't be how it is. So seeing Josh, continuously run the ball in or make a couple throws is like, yay, but not like, yay. It was just good. Like, you're supposed to be doing that. But yeah, you didn't miss much. The score resembles it. I gotta pronounce it. I'm gonna be honest. I've been avoiding pronouncing your name because I don't know how to. Raleigh. D. Raleigh. I'm gonna go with Raleigh. I'm sorry. I've been avoiding because I can't do. I'm not good with English. I don't know why. It's my primary language, and I don't want to speak anything else yet. I can't pronounce it. Raleigh. D. Raleigh says gonna suck for the next couple of days, but come next Sunday, let's hope they get it together. Yep. Hopefully they're healthy. Hopefully Josh's head is on straight after playing what I think has been the 6 worst quarters of football this season. And hopefully, Gabe Davis is able to kind of clear his own head too. So next Sunday is, like the city in NC, but with a W. Raleigh? What's the city in NC? I don't know geography either, bro. I'm sorry. Pronounce it. Do like the hyphenated pronunciation, like how it would sound. Like, sound it out for me. I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. But you're right. Yeah, come next Sunday. This is a perfect bounce back spot for us, guys. A big spot, prove it opportunity for a team that struggled over the last 6 quarters. Just lost an ugly game to a divisional opponent. Going next week, I don't know if it's in Minnesota or not, or if it's in Buffalo, but playing off against one of the best teams in the NFC. Big time for us to bounce back and make a statement that, we haven't fallen off. We haven't gone anywhere. We just had a little bit of a brain fart this last week and a half. So yeah, big spot next week. Mr. Dick says, let them run under the ball to do the Josh throw 65. It would have been nice. Josh is the guy. Yeah. I mean, I guess it could have been, Gabe did someone have a step. I mean, I guess I could see your point to it being underthrown, but I mean, it was 70 yards, man. 70 yards, rolled out left, flushed out, under pressure, along the boundary. Nonetheless, I mean, it was the best ball you're going to get in that situation. But yeah, I get what you're saying. He did kind of have a step. It would have been nice to see, him come down with it, but it is what it is. Mike says, I'm hoping for a big clean it up game again. Yep, same here. Perfect bounce back spot. Very, very big bounce back spot for us. A lot of potential in this game for sure. Okay, Raleigh. Got it. D. Raleigh. Perfect. Thank you. That's exactly what I was asking for. I'm glad you understood. Raleigh. Thank you. Now I know. Perfect. Yeah, I know Robert, North Carolina. I know what he meant by NC. I just didn't know what city in NC he was talking about. Obviously, Raleigh. There's a city in NC called Raleigh. I don't know that. All I know is Bills football and other football facts, and then my job. And that's it. In Buffalo next week. Okay, that's good. Can rally behind our own home crowd in a potential bounce back game. So yeah. If there's any other questions that you guys have, I'll be happy to address them. This is fun. I really like doing the live streams with you guys, man. It really is fun. I'm always, doing my same routine of doing like a pre-recorded video. I'm getting that out. But honestly, like I'm enjoying the live streams. My favorite part of this whole thing is interacting with you guys and sitting in front of the camera and just being able to get my emotions out and get my thoughts out and, have active feedback. So thank you guys for, obviously doing that. And I really appreciate, you guys giving me the platform to do so. And it's been fun. So I of course the pre-recorded things have been my bread and butter up to this point, but it seems like that everybody's been, enjoying the live streams just as much as I have. So, I'm really glad. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, I know you've been showing a lot of support, man. Mike, yeah, I really appreciate it, dude. Live streams are dope. Yeah, I agree, man. I think they're awesome. This is the most enjoyable part of, why I do this. So being able to actively do it with you guys, this has been really fun. Cook versus Cook next week. Hey, good point. Dalvin and James get to meet up next week. I wonder if we'll get an active dose of James Cook just because of that. Robert says, was Josh hurt? I just came into chat and you said something about him getting hurt. Josh did get what seemed to be hurt on the strip sack that he lost the ball on, that second last play of the game. Questenberry got beat like a drum, dude. And he went to throw the ball, and you could see Josh's arm, like, it was ugly to watch, man. You could see as he was going to follow through, his arm, like, I mean, and when you're not expecting that, and with a guy as strong as whoever the defensive end was that, put the force on him, and you're going forward and you feel the inertia or the pressure, whatever the word is, go against your arm and you're trying to force, and then it just, ow. I mean, yeah. And then after the very next play, he went to hit Diggs, which he unironically underthrew. And you could see him like holding his arm like this. So yeah, Diggs did get hurt. Josh did get hurt. After the game, of course, Josh Allen being Josh Allen, is humble and as amazing as a guy as he is, he doesn't throw anybody under the bus. He blames himself for the whole loss, and he says, I'm fine. He downplays the injury entirely. So who's to say how bad it actually is? Hopefully not. But of course, Josh is going to come out after that game and create more panic for the rest of us. If he comes out after that game in a press conference and says, yeah, my elbow's broke. Like, I think he understands what would happen to the city of Buffalo if he said that in a press conference after the game. So long story short, he did suffer what seemed to be a noticeable arm injury. Nobody knows the severity of it at the time, but Josh Allen did downplay it. I guess as the week goes on, we'll have to keep monitoring that. But at least he was able to continue throwing, I guess. If there's any update on Twitter that we'll see, I'll definitely be able, we'll be on the lookout for that. But yeah. Bills Mafia Man says, we trade for Hines, don't even use him. We still need a bell cow power running back and get short yards and touchdowns. So we're saving Josh Allen's body and health. That elbow injury has me worried. A lot of points to cover here. All right. We trade for Hines and don't even use him. I thought we used Hines. I mean, we brought in this guy at the trade deadline, 5 minutes before the deadline ends. And I mean, I thought he saw a fair amount of snaps. Was I the only one that thought that Nyheim Hines played a little bit more than I assumed he would? I thought Nyheim Hines saw a number of snaps today. I thought a very healthy dose for a guy that just got to the team, truthfully. I don't know what, I saw a lot of Bills fans actually sharing this opinion. I personally thought he was out there plenty. He's on punt returns. He did see a couple, I think he saw a target along the sideline. Josh overthrew him. So, I mean, I just don't know how much, in this game I would have been expecting Hines to be involved. He just got here. Playbook's brand new. We don't use running backs out of the backfield very often. So I'm sure, Ken Dorsey has to do some thinking of his own. They probably have plays drawn up for him that they'll use as they get more comfortable. So in this game, I didn't really expect them to be as active with him. But I honestly thought he was out there more than I expected him to be. But the punt returns, as you mentioned in the comments I see, that's good. I'm glad that we got a guy that I can trust back there wholeheartedly. Anyway, we still need a bell cow running back that can get short yardage. Our bell cow running back is Josh Allen. Whether you like it or not, we have settled on the fact that Josh Allen is our bell cow, not bell cow running back, but our power running back. That's just the truth of the matter. If we need a yard, it's Josh Allen. If we need 2 yards, it's Josh Allen. If we need to pound the ball in, on the goal line, it's Josh Allen. That's just the fact of the matter, and that's what we've accepted. Zach Moss was our power back, but Zach Moss was bad. Not bad. No air quotes. Zach Moss was bad at being the power back. He had 1 or 2 runs every 7 games where he somewhat fought through contact. That was it. I mean, Zach Moss wasn't good at what he did. Devin Singletary was better. Zach Moss was supposed to offer a premium of power to this football team, and Devin Singletary did what Zach Moss was supposed to be really good at better than Zach Moss did. So that's why he's gone. Thank God. Bye. And so, yeah, that's the answer. And plus, who is saving Josh Allen's body and health? That elbow injury has me worried. That elbow injury has us all worried. And who is saving Josh Allen's body and health? I honestly think Josh Allen is built to take the hits that he takes, man. And injuries that Josh is going to suffer, if there ever is a day, fingers crossed, God bless, knock on wood, there is never a day that we see that happen, but it'll probably be non-contact. I'm thinking it'll be something similar to today where, he's just following through on a ball. It's just kind of like a freak arm injury because he's just throwing. I truthfully don't think he'll suffer an injury that'll, really be substantial to him. That is a hit from running. I don't know. That's just me. It just seems like the way he's built. He's so thick, so strong, so powerful up top. I don't think that's something that, is too worrisome to me, at least right now while he's young. And he's obviously shown in the past he's mature enough as a passer to, if he doesn't have to take those hits and he has to drop back and throw the ball, then, he can throw it 60 times in a game and he'll be fine. Oh my God. Mike says Vikings also have Harrison Phillips. Yes, they do. I miss that guy, Harrison Phillips. That really hurt when we lost Harrison Phillips. That was painful. Yes, he played pretty good number of snaps, and Josh did. Yeah, exactly. To the Nyheim Hines point. I thought Hines saw the field relatively more than I expected him to, and Josh did overthrow him on the sideline, and the 5'9" running back gave every little lick of effort that he had to try and he dove full extension on that sideline. That ball was so out of bounds, and he gave his every last little bit of effort to try and come down with it. So I respect him for it. But yeah, anyway, Keenum best year was in Minnesota. Maybe he has the best game come Minnesota if Josh can't go. Oh, let's not say that. Hopefully we don't get to a point where Josh can't go. If Josh can't go in a game against we're looking at the Minnesota Vikings game as a bounce back spot against a 7-1 football team, in which would be a big statement. This isn't going to be treated the same way that this Jets game was treated, where we were talking about it earlier. It was a save your players type of game. This is the game in which that won't be. If Josh Allen feels like he can go and the medical staff is like, you know what? It probably would be nice if you sat. It wouldn't hurt. If you sat, that would be good. But you could go. Josh Allen's full go. I mean, that's just the nature of it. So I think it'll really take a lot for Josh Allen to miss this game. If we were playing against, hypothetically the Jets again, or, the Jags or the Raiders or somebody piss poor pathetic, then maybe we would see a potential chance in which Josh can't go. but this is a big-ass game for us, man. A big-ass game next week. If Josh Allen can't go, we're talking about an injury that is more than just a week-long injury. We're talking about a 4 to 6 week injury if for some reason Josh can't go next week. My uneducated opinion, but I think is somewhat educated. I don't know. That's just my thought. Mike says, shouldn't have given Hines Moss old 20. Yeah, bad mojo. Facts, dude. Why did he take 20? Hines should have been, what number could Hines had been? I don't know. Like any other number. Why did he take 20? Like who's Poyer's 21? That was his old number in Indianapolis. How about Hines could have worn like the number? Man, what number isn't taken on the Bills? Is anybody number? What about like? No, that's Kumaro. What about 11? Who's number 11? Is there an 11 on our football team? Am I forgetting somebody that's so obvious that's number 11? I don't think there is a number 11 on our football team. Why didn't he take 11? Why did he take 20? 11 is a good number. If there's already somebody with the number 11, please tell me. It's probably somebody very prominent, and I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, Mr. Diggs, LMAO, yeah, Josh Allen is the power back, and I think our front office has finally, succumbed to that thought, considering the fact that we traded away our power back and we, traded for a pass catcher, and we've just succumbed to the idea that it's Josh Allen. Anyway, Ross says, by the way, don't take much solace from the Chiefs losing to Colts. In that game, the Chiefs kicker Bucker sprained his growing pregame, and their punter missed an extra point, 2 easy field goals. Okay, good context. I actually didn't even know that. And, wow, okay. I mean, yeah, you're right. It doesn't bring me, honestly, I say something like that just obviously to bring me solace. Obviously, at the end of the day, I'm not looking around the NFL to comfort myself and say, oh, wow, they lost, so I feel better. Like I personally don't do that as often as some people do. I just care about us, man. I mean, at the end of the day, our destiny's in our own hands, and we, for some reason, continue to fumble it. The number 1 seed was 100% ours to lose, and a loss like that will definitely do the trick. Beasley was number 11, 00. Funny enough, Robert, I hate the number 00. I hate it. I hate the number 00. It's not even a number. I was on the JV soccer team like 6 years ago, and there was a kid that we played against. He wore the number 00, and I ripped him apart for it. Like, he was going back and forth with me, and I just could not get over the fact that this dude was 00, and I was just ripping him apart for it. So that's funny. You actually mentioned that. I think Barkley is 11. He says Barkley's not 11, I don't think. I think is it Barkley 5 or something? Teron Johnson's 11. Teron Johnson's not 11, is he? Teron Johnson is 6. Teron Johnson is 6. Yeah. No, he's 7. Teron Johnson's 7. Oh, hold on. We're looking this up. Bills players number. Why do we care? Why are we talking about this? The official website of the Buffalo Bills. Tell me who number 11 is. Nobody's number 11. Nobody's number 1 either. He could have been number 1. Why did he take the number 1? No, nobody's number 11, unless this is outdated, which, I mean, I really don't think it is. Tyler, here, I'll share my screen. In fact, 18, technically he's not on the team. Oh, wait, no, Barkley. Hold on. I'm going to show you guys what I'm seeing. Share screen. Yeah, just please share the screen. Thanks. Okay. Look, this is sorted by number, unless this is outdated. 2 is Bass, 3 Hamlin, Jaquan 4, McKenzie 6, Teron 7, Sam 8, Khalil 10, Gabe 13. So there's a gap. There's no 11 or 12. Unless, Barkley on this list. He is. Oh! He is 11 because of the practice squad. You were right. Whoever said 11 was right. Son of a bitch. Yep, you were right. Raleigh, you were right. Damn it. Barkley, damn. That explains it. Okay, anyway. Cook should have been 00. He could just write a C on it. That's funny. 6 is McKenzie. Yes, you were right. And then Teron Johnson 7. Yep, Barkley's 11 on practice squad. Yep, got my ass. All right. Honestly, it's probably about all the thoughts I have regarding this game. Gonna enjoy watching the rest of whatever's on, or maybe I'll play Call of Duty, one or the other. But either way, guys, thank you so much for popping in. It's been really fun. discussing. I was thinking, no, you're good. I didn't even think about it either, Diggs. Like that was just as much of a puzzle to me as it was to anybody else. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for popping in. It was very fun to do this post game live stream. Honestly, I'm thinking about doing this every Bills game. Why not? I mean, hopping right on after the game. I usually like to watch the afternoon slate, but I truthfully don't care anymore. Like, I mean, I want to do a live stream. I could see what happens in the 3 or 4 games that's happening in the afternoon window. The afternoon window, I'm sitting there half awake anyway. I mean, I don't even care. Oh my God, I'm going to sneeze. Oh my God. Okay. Anyway, let me get your gamer tag. I am on Steam. I think it's like my last name, Listman1530 or something. If you want to add me on Steam, I think it's Listman1530 or something along those lines. I play on my computer, so I used to play on Xbox, but I was forced to the PC Master Race. But if you want to add me on there, yeah, for sure. But yeah, guys, every week, honestly, I'm gonna continue doing this because why not? It's really fun. So I appreciate you guys showing all the support and all the love. It's been awesome to do these with you guys. It's, the pre-recorded thing is honestly starting to wear me thin. Just because the video, sometimes just recording the video for me, because I stumble over my words and I want everything to sound clear and crisp. I have to re-record takes like 6 or 7 times sometimes, and the recording itself could take up to an hour, and we've already done an hour here. And then the editing itself could take about an hour to an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours sometimes. So it's nice to be able to just sit down after the game and shoot the shit. This is the part I love the most. The editing is the real work. This is the fun. This is the fun part. And honestly, I don't know why I didn't think to do these sooner. Yeah, me too, man. So I appreciate you guys. If Fine starts running into the backs of his own lineman, he should start with jerseys. Yeah, I agree. 2 number not 00. But yeah, guys, I appreciate you all for stopping in. Enjoy the rest of your night. Have a good week. Despite the Bills losing, we're going to be fine. It's just week 9. And thank you guys for watching. Going to do the cave on Tuesday, I'm pretty sure, unless something goes haywire, which, although my guest is kind of being a little spotty right now, so I'm kind of getting concerned. But as far as I know, the cave Tuesday, so be sure you're checking that out. Thank you guys for hopping in tonight. And go Bills. Peace out.